Hi everyone, my name is Arnold Magcale. I'm the CEO, founder of Ultrascale Digital Infrastructure, and I have two distinguished gentlemen with me here to join our podcast. It's just a free form, talking about the industry, where we're at, and the problems we're seeing today. So I'll start with Shawn Novak, CRO at TECfusions.
Thanks, Arnold. Day two here is Supercompute. What a show. I think I've seen more AI customers, more innovation technology than any other conference this year. I know we're wrapping up the year, but I'm excited to be here. Excited to have this conversation. Scott, make a quick introduction. And
yeah. So Scott Jarnagin, CEO of Caddis Cloud Solutions. Really excited to be here as well. I find it amazing that how dynamic and diverse this group is, just in terms of everyone that's here outside of AI, the industry folks that are here from a cooling perspective, construction, the data center operators. So I think just environments of this nature are bringing out a lot of great teams and people that help us get us further along in the industry.
Absolutely. I want to give a shout out to Scott Bailey, CEO of USystems, for allowing us to do this, even though he wouldn't attend it with us. And so I want to throw him a shout out and also throw him under the bus.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, and if you see us laughing hysterically, it's probably because Scott Bailey's behind the cameras,
possibly
making some faces at us. So I too want to thank him for giving us the opportunity to have us, allow us to have these conversations there.
And LeGrand as well. We're in the LeGrand booth.
That's it. Well, Scott is
fantastic.
Right? Yeah. So let's kick it off. What do you guys want to talk? This is a free form. Let's my career, I started in the late 90s, built the first data centers in Silicon Valley, and how the landscape has changed, and you guys just as well too. Let's start with that topic. I've always said data center is always the foundation of technology, right?
Yeah.
And it's more so now than ever,
yeah,
right? With the advent of AI and the power and everything going on, right? So what are you guys seeing, and where do you think the market is going?
Yeah, so in my perspective, let's just say over 25 years of doing this. I remember when 500 kW, 2 megawatt deal, that was massive. It was, the buildings that we put those in were massive, 100,000 square foot data center campus, holy cow. Times have changed. You remember back in the day, we were talking about densities, and everyone was saying, hey, we're going to be reaching 5 to 8 kW a cabinet.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then people talked about it, but still, if you look at the load across the data center hall, you see a 1.5 kW cabinet, maybe hitting 3 kW.
Yeah.
And they struggled cooling those, to be honest. Even at that density, it wasn't meant to be able to handle those loads. Today, I can't tell you in our data centers, we're sitting there, air cooled, pushing 34 kW a cabinet. Rear door heat exchangers doing 54 kW cabinet, liquid cooled hitting 90. Then those densities are only going up.
Yes, yeah.
But I can't also tell you that I don't know anything under 100 megawatts.
That's true.
This is insane.
Yes,
it is.
Nothing that's. So I've been just in the conversations I've had here in terms of rack densities that have been so surprising to me. Outside of us trying to source something about 150 megawatts or 150 kilowatts per rack for clients, and people talking about 200, 300, 400 kilowatt racks. And so how's that going to impact the space as a developer, as an owner? So as someone that's building the sites, how do you accommodate such a dynamic infrastructure space when it's 1,500 pounds per rack to 10,000 pounds per rack? What does that look like?
Yeah.
How do you get in front of that?
Yeah.
How do you do that properly? I don't know.
Yeah. I think the problem too is, you see a lot of people needing a lot of power. They got these data centers that are, like you said, 50, 100 megawatts, but a lot of it is being wasted in the cooling.
Yeah.
Right. And other ancillary, so that's why, we're helping companies trying to, do the same with what they have, except more with what they have, and reduce their footprint and increase the density without taking more power, right? If you may.
So when you do that, and you're going to a site that might not have chilled water, right? But they need something because rack densities. How do you approach it in that respect? Because what's the impact to, one, the structure itself, two, weight loads and everything, if they're already at max, two, what kind of infrastructure do you need to help do that?
Yeah.
for you from USystems? So
It's a good question, but
that's all I ask. Good questions.
Well, obviously, like for example, raised floor, like as you said, it's getting heavier.
Yes.
It's impossible though.
It's a steel structure at that point. Yeah.
You got to have solid floor, and from a security point of view, that's the direction you want to go too. We're seeing a lot of that, but more importantly, it's almost impossible to take a data center that's your traditional raised floor and convert it to liquid without having to build another one, rip it out, right? And so that's kind of the problems we're seeing today.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if you guys are seeing
Yeah,
that.
so that's a good leeway. I mean, so I see two issues right now. One's time to market.
Yeah.
We've been talking about supply chain ever since the COVID days. The supply chain is trying to catch up with all the
Still
demand that's
challenging,
out there.
right.
It's still a challenge today. So, but time to market has been critical for our clients at TECfusions. So when they start talking to us and they're like, hey, we need 20 megawatts, but we need it in 2 months. Then we need to go to 100 megawatts, but we need that by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, historically, when we talk about the densities of data centers and the build process of data centers in the past, 3 years it takes to build a data center. Now we're getting 3 months to fit out a data center.
Right.
How do we do that? With supply chain constraints, and so at TECfusions, we solve some of these riddles. So adaptive reuse is one way to do this. So instead of starting from ground zero, let's go find a industrial grade, heavy manufacturing facility that has an abundance of space. There's power already sitting at these facilities and these locations. And let's retrofit this into a data center campus. Let's find strategic partners like yourselves that can actually do the fit out work inside of these buildings. We have the design, we have the clients, we have the customers that need this demand. That's how we're approaching this market to actually deliver capacity in a 3-month timeline as opposed to a 3-year time frame.
But you still have customers that have a high demand for capacity needs for workloads, right? So they're coming to you saying, hey, Shawn, we want this site 50 megawatts by 2-3 months from now, whatever it is, which is kind of crazy. It's a large ask. So when you have that and you have your customers and you want to make sure they're being taken care of, but you have to present a solution that makes sense so they can present it to their upper management, whatever makes sense.
And their customers.
Exactly. So how do you set that baseline saying, hey, it's fantastic, you want it in 3 months, but here's some of the gotchas we're going to include, and we're going to
that's a fantastic question. The transparency.
Yeah.
So as we get into these relationships with our customers, it's not about like what we can deliver and how fast we can deliver it. It's solutions that how we can deliver it together. So when we go to the market and we find strategic partners, it's not just TECfusions sourcing everything on our own, being in a silo. It's the client that's helping us find capacity, supply chain. It's yourselves that are going out there and looking for solutions. I don't need, the name brand that has a 18-month lead time. We're sitting there talking, again, transparency with the customer saying, if you need to hit this deadline for your client, this is the only way where we're going to be able to do that for you. Now, if you want the name brand, totally fine. But you're going to have to wait. Or what if that we work with our partners, we deliver the capacity in the time frame that you're looking to get it done.
Your SLAs.
And then cut the SLAs. Like we're just getting you energized. By the way, us energizing you in a timely manner is creating a revenue stream for you that you're not getting anywhere else.
Exactly.
But then we can start swapping out components to hit your N+1 or whatever, resiliency that you want for the future sites, future-proof in the data center.
That's a good point. And what I found too, our partner USystems is a great bridge for that gap with what you said, right? Because they can, even though it's a raised floor, they can still step in, put their rear doors in there and take away all their crack units. And it'll bridge that gap until they get to whatever that tipping point is, 250, 200 kilowatts of rack, then they can give them time to look at, okay, do we do immersion? Do we do direct to chip? Which, and that's why they've been a great partner for us.
So that brings up another interesting point, because technology changes and it evolves. We've all seen this over the course of the last 10 years. The technology is not stopping anytime soon.
Absolutely
not. So we're talking about, the air-cooled GPUs. Now we're getting into cold plate GPUs. Now we're hearing immersion cooling GPUs. So let's just say it took me 2 to 3 years to go fit out a data center. By the time those GPUs are ready to hit the floor, did I just build the wrong data center?
Absolutely.
You cannot do that anymore. And that's why time to market is so critical. So that way you can start generating revenue by the time those GPUs are obsolete, which is 2 to 3 years. If you want to make the most on your return of those GPUs that you just purchased, you have to have the latest and greatest GPUs. That's where you get the biggest return. So if you waited 2 years, those are obsolete, and you're going to get the smallest margin on return of that investment.
Which are success factors, what you're talking about, which I think is a point that you made and the point you both made is that the ecosystem which you are building around your client, your customer, which is our partnerships. So when we can lean on each other to help do something to achieve the end result, which is getting that capacity set up for the customer, I think that's where we're going to see a lot of success. A lot of people do things independently, are not willing to trust each other in the market because, there's some gotcha you have on occasion, but when you can really come to the table saying, hey, this is my core skill set, but I can start layering all these other services from a partner standpoint, that's when you achieve success, I think. Then also saying, hey, as a partner, while I don't do this on the daily, mechanical, like whatever it is, but I have partners that can help you do X, Y, Z, right?
That's right.
And start bringing people into the mix.
That's right.
That's really important, I believe. Right?
And that goes back to the transparency piece. Because if we can all get in the room together and figure out a solution to hit the timelines, to hit the demand, and let's, as we continue to grow these relationships and we're building out, there's a lot of capacity that's out there, believe it or not. I mean, there's so much that we can do, but they have to wait.
Right.
So if we can deliver capacity quicker, get them in, now they're comfortable, they're like, you actually can do what you say you can do, and then we move forward into other locations and start fitting that out as they're currently growing in the existing data centers. And I think the growth potential is ginormous. I mean, we talked about like cloud growth, the last 8 years, and how all the big guys have done such a great job, and they've took all the capacity away from any of these AI companies that are coming today. I think that the tables are turning. A lot of these AI companies are going to shift.
Right?
100%.
So rack densities, just in a matter of years. You're talking about when I first started with a cloud company a few years ago, like what we're asking for, 8, 10, 12 kilowatt racks. That was big. 15 kilowatt racks, unheard of. And now on a shift, on a dime, we're going 20 kilowatt racks to 40 kilowatt racks. I mean, the scale in which things are moving is just incredible.
It's breaking all kinds of records.
So that also brings up an interesting point. So let's talk about any properties that are out there,
right?
And we look at these data centers that were built for low density, or even these big industrial warehouse buildings, and they're massive in size, but we're so dense the utility can't deliver the power that the space is, right? So we're taking up a quarter of the facility, data center or what have you, and now we have all this empty space. Well, what do? We have to move to the next site? No. So what are we doing today? It's generating our own power in all these sites, whether it's hydrogen power or whether it's nuclear power. In our case, right now, it's nat gas. So all of our locations are looking for nat gas lines, heavy lines coming into the site. So we're generating our own power behind the meter. So when the utility says, hey, we can get you more power, it might be 6 months. It might be 5 years. Well, we don't have to worry about that 5-year term because we're generating our own power, creating another solution so that quarter of that facility that was filled up with the utility power, I can now deliver the rest of the power for the rest of the facility. Now those clients can grow within our campuses instead of having to go seek another location, a whole new network core, more network cabling, like the whole works.
No, I think that's right. You have to. I think that's the right way to approach it because there's utilities can't keep up with demand, right? And if that's so far out and getting capacity turned up is the key and the goal, then you have to do something behind the meter and try to partner with the utility as much as you can. Of course. But anytime we look at a property like ourselves and we try to bring something to market, it is what is it there today? What's utilities provide? What can they provide over time? And how do we enhance the operation? But like the power solution there, either through gas, which that's pretty much primary, and or eventually SMR. Once that's truly cheap. But you still have to start planning for that.
You absolutely do. And now let's throw a curveball into the mix. I don't know if you've seen the latest announcements of PJM increasing their rates by 10 times. So it's a 10x multiplier.
Wow.
So utility rates, and these ISOs are going to get smarter about this, right? So let's just say you sign an agreement for 4.5 cents, 6 cents, 7 cents a kilowatt hour. Well, the problem is with a 10x multiplier on that power cost, because they have a lot of transmission lines that they have to upgrade and all that stuff. You're going to be in the 20s to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. What does that do to all of these masses that are taking 100 megawatts, 500 megawatts, a gigawatt of power, on the utility, their power costs are going to go so high, their margins are going to decrease.
So how's that cost increase justified from a utility standpoint?
Well,
Surely.
Because they do not have the capacity. So now they're opening up sorry, ESG, but more coal power plants that they shut down.
Yeah.
But now they have to turn them back on because they need more energy. They have to replace the transformers. They have to replace all the transmission lines, all the way from where it's made all the way back down to the substations that deliver it to.
It sounds like you're calling out a cost of doing business.
It's a cost of doing business.
But in turn, and what they're doing, what it feels like, and I could be wrong, which I am often, is that it's just going right back to the consumer, right? Which I don't think is the right way to conduct business. I'm not saying that, but I think if we can do behind the meter stuff and help them achieve, right, feeding back into the utility.
Even behind the meter with an interconnect, you're still going to have to do those upgrades.
Yes, 100%.
So even if so one of our campuses, we have 3 gigawatts of nat gas.
Mm-hmm.
So we can generate 3 gigawatts of nat gas energy on our campus. With an interconnect, we can push it back to the utility. But they have to do all their upgrades. They're not going to reduce their utility costs because I'm giving them renewable energy, right? The difference here is because I own the land, I have my own power, I can deliver the power to my own facilities. Now, that cost, it may seem higher today, anywhere from 9 to 13 cents a kilowatt hour is where we're getting at. But when the ISOs and all these other markets start increasing their rates, we're not going to be the high price of power. We're actually going to be the cheaper, and we can lock in for a 15-year term at that cost.
You have on-site generation, so you control it, right?
You control it.
And the cost measure there is the cost of gas.
That's right.
How much that may or may not fluctuate.
And that, of course, that's going to go up and down, depending on who's in office and all that good stuff. But how much does a barrel of oil cost?
We're going to stay out of that mix for a little bit. We're going to stay out of those discussions.
Do you want to talk about the...
No, we do not.
Well, I think too, just remembering back in the days when data centers, they would call it the football cities, right?
Yeah.
I think that's now gone.
That's
to your
correct.
point, right? Now we're challenged with the, is there a substation there? Is it, we need to upgrade, so then your cost starts to go up, right?
That's right.
But you on the flip side of that, you can be anywhere in the U.S. now, anywhere in the world, and that's where it's going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
latency to availability zones in the NFL cities is no longer an issue. It still is an issue on the cloud side. Like they still have to be very close together. But for AI, no, this is a game changer in our industry.
But will it change? So it's
I don't think so.
If it goes to inference, does it have to be closer?
I don't think so. I think there's going to be some that may have to be close to an AZ because they're running other things within that region.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, let's think about like connectivity at a lot of these sites. We don't have a heavy network traffic going in and out of our site.
No, not at all.
So we can even put this in the remote area with no network, and it has Starlink going back to the moon.
Like that's amazing.
And we've had these conversations with Chris, right? Like
Lone Star,
with Lone Star, and I think that's the future.
Yeah.
All the compute is being done on like a supercomputer. It's just really dense, all close in together, right? And the connectivity doesn't need to be going back and forth. There's not a lot of traffic that's happening there.
That's the questions I've been trying to ask a few people. It's like, once it goes to the inference, that's portion of the modeling, what really happens to the spaces that we have today, from a data center that are a little bit further out? I think that's always be maintained because they're always going to be doing something from a training and modeling standpoint to continue to grow. But if it has to get closer to the markets that it would have to go to are completely compressed today, are
no power.
Today. There's no power. So how do you get in front of that? If you're talking about future returns,
back to our microgrid.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I think some of the downsides of that is like the land costs in some of these locations is kind of obscene.
It's getting ridiculous. Yes.
So everyone wants to, the best price for co-location. Like, we got to be better than market. What I don't understand this because I'm spending more money on land.
Yeah.
You want me to turn around capacity in 3 months. So guess what I have to do? I have to pay engineers, to run 3 shifts, 250 people running 3 shifts, 24/7, 365. And
that's
yet
more expensive,
still, some of those guys like to eat. And, you get time and a half, double time, all these things. So if it costs us more money to build the data center to meet the demands and the capacities, why should it be below market rates?
Yeah.
And I think the market in itself is getting a little bit stronger stance on here and saying, like, if we're going to deliver this capacity, it is going to be at a premium to get you the power that you want, because that's how you're going to generate revenue. We're spending the extra money. The land costs more.
That's a great point. So, question to both of you guys. If you see, these, let's just say the top big 5 companies are paying that premium, what's it doing to the middle, the small, that want 100 megawatts? And is that pricing them out, pushing back to the, when you got these other companies saying,
it's making their cost more expensive.
Yeah.
They're already paying more.
They already are.
They're already paying more.
Yeah.
Someone's going to pay, back in the olden days, $50 a kilowatt or something like that. Now it's 150. Those people are paying 250 to 350, not more.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
In fact, I just, one of the things I still, as a retired broker from CBRE, like, I still follow that market really closely. I'm always watching where deals are closing. I'm still reaching out to all my contacts to make sure I know where pricing is. So when I go to the market, I don't get that, like, you're way overpriced. Well, I'm not, because I've seen deals trading at $190 a kW. So, and these are very well, AAA credit customers that are still paying a premium now, because that capacity that they had signed for sub $100 kW has now, that's a need.
Yeah.
Like, if I can get rid of you at the end of your term, and I can go sign someone from double of what I charge you,
bet.
I'm sorry, we're not going to renew your term unless you pay this.
Yeah.
Do you know the cost to migrate your systems out of that data center is? You're going to pay that
We're
premium.
supposed to not know those things, though, to our benefit. It's
the stickiness. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, once they're in, it's challenging to get out, but it's trying to be a good partner with. I mean, and you talked about this before when we were talking to a couple of clients. Like, you're not trying to gouge it by any means, but you got to do a market rate to make sense, especially if they're asking you for things that are out of your control, unrealistic time frames.
Yes.
And you're bringing stuff in faster than normal. There's a cost of doing business, that economics of the deal that have to be maintained, right? So if not, you won't be in business, right? So so it's got to be done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this has been great. Like, again, I want to thank LeGrand. I want to thank USystems for hosting us. You guys are awesome. So
you're okay, Arnold. You're okay.
I want to thank these guys. These guys are awesome partners of ours. So thank you for joining.
No, fantastic. It was good. I'm glad I stopped by.
Thanks for jumping right in.
No, recruited in. No, it was fun.
So all right. Well, thanks everybody.
Yeah,
thanks
thank
everyone.
you.
Take care.